Ladies and gentlemen, now we have an inspiring keynote address by Mr. Sonam Wangchuk. Mr. Wangchuk has been working in the field of education reform for more than 27 years. In 1988, he founded SECMOL, Students' Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh. It's an honor to have you here, sir. I request you to please address the audience.
Good afternoon. I happen to stand between your lunch and feel sorry for that, but somebody had to catch a flight, so I was put here at the end. But I promise you, you'll get your value for minutes as I bring greetings and stories from the icy mountain desert of Ladakh. I'll share with you my story of as a mechanical engineer studying and learning to adapt to needs of a mountainous place like Ladakh, and then getting into education reforms in the area, bringing school reforms and setting up a school, an alternative school for failures in the system, and finally to setting up a city of the future, you may call, of a very different type, with a university at the heart, making research and learning how to develop the city as we go on. So from this spectrum, I'll share first a very short film of 2 minutes that will summarize what we are doing, and then share parts of how we are dealing with solar energy and mud as a material to build buildings that are warm even in places like Ladakh without any external heating. But first I'll share about these innovations in making artificial glaciers, irrigate deserts, grow trees, and then with those trees build a city as it goes. So can I have the switch to the computer? Okay. July, as we greet in Ladakh. I'm Sonam Wangchuk, an educationist, engineer, and innovator at the SECMOL Institute. What you are seeing are 5,000 trees that were planted by the entire village of Pyang together with the monks of the monastery on the inauguration day of the ice stupa artificial glacier, which is a very, very simple technique that stores water that normally goes waste in the streams during the winter in the form of huge ice cones, or traditionally stupas of ice. These ice stupas are shaped geometrically in such a way that they don't melt until late spring.
That's when the villagers face acute shortage of water nowadays due to climate change and disappearing glaciers.
And the melting ice stupas provide that important water at the right time.
And now we hope to take this proven technique to new heights and new worlds. We hope to build dozens of ice stupas and plant over 150,000 trees in the Pyang Desert, and to start an alternative university for mountain development and climate change adaptation. The university will eventually host roughly 5,000 students from Ladakh and the entire Hindu Kush Himalayan range from Afghanistan to Arunachal Pradesh, and help mountain youth in finding scientific solutions to the unique problems that we face in the mountains.
Okay. So this system, how does it work? Okay, now I'll share a little of the details of how we came to the journey. Ladakh, as you saw, is the northernmost part of India, very cold, at 11 to 14,000 feet or 3,500 meters. Temperatures go down to minus 30 to minus 35 sometimes. It looks like a barren desert from the aeroplane, but then you find oases of greenery that are human-made. Every green patch that you see is man-made. Ladakh is a tiny microscopic minority, and linguistically, ethnically, we have a very different tradition, different system, and over the centuries or millennia, despite the harsh climate, people have adapted and not only survived but thrived with a very vibrant culture of language and music and dance and religion and so on. But being a very tiny minority, we also face a lot of problems in a huge country like India, where much of what applies to the rest of the country doesn't apply there. Especially in education, people suffer a lot. Schools used to have very poor results. I'll come to that. Because children don't understand what is taught in textbooks, that they don't understand, with figures and illustrations that they can't relate to. So much so that it's not just linguistic and ethnic, but even technologically and climatically, it's a tiny minority. So getting water out of the taps can be this complicated in winters, when the technology used is by the engineers or the government is what is used in UP, Delhi. It doesn't work in Ladakh. So we have to innovate and find solutions to our own problems, and that's what my story is about. And nowadays, development with lots of money, tourism, and so on is posing a big challenge itself. While people get, economically better, but the technical solutions are just not there in our country. So people just burn anything to keep warm, and the city of Leh is becoming like this, very dirty. So I have been into looking at finding solutions to all the problems we face. I first of all took the problem of education, which I came across during my engineering studies, because to finance my own studies, I had to tutor 10th grade students, and that's when I saw what our students were going through. They were so intelligent, good to grasp all concepts of science and maths, but when it came to exams, they failed. Like 95% of students used to fail in 80s in all the government schools, and that's what moved me, and I decided to go back to Ladakh. After financing my own engineering, I got moved and changed, so I didn't want to add another engineer to the crowd. I thought I would rather change the system of education, which is, keeping so many bright farmers, engineers shackled. So I won't go into details, but just to say that within 7 or 10 years of interventions in government schools, training teachers to be like child-friendly and changing the whole textbooks and curriculum, making people take ownership of their schools, the results soon started changing. So from consistently 5% in schools, it today stands at 70s. But it's a good improvement, but still students were failing. And I know, having taught them since my own college, that those who fail are not really failures. They are just different, and they have to be taught differently. So we didn't want to miss those who were failing in these exams still. So for them, we set up a very interesting alternative school, which is what I'll share, which does innovation in all fields of life that applies to especially our region, and in other places you would have to find solutions to your kind of climate. So here we set up this school that would be not different in winter from summer, in Ladakh. So leaving summers for outdoors experience and learning from nature, from farming and so on, use the winter most for studies and trainings and so on indoors. We set up a totally solar-powered campus Institute campus, and this is what led to the university and city idea, which I shared at the beginning and may touch in the end. So this is an off-grid campus that we designed in early 90s to be totally self-reliant, climate responsive, zero or positive energy. It was this when we came in 94, a total desert, if you can see, along the Indus, on the banks of Indus. This is 94. And then in 94, we came and put up tents and set up a tent school there. And one of the things we did was design the campus while with the students in camps, and did a workshop, a permaculture workshop of designing how everything should move in harmony with nature at this campus. And according to that design, we then planned and built, and you can see that this is a south-facing slope we chose. Site selection was a very important process, so we chose the site very carefully to make maximum use of sun and natural energies. So it's all south-facing buildings, but that's not to say everything has to be south. The residential buildings are south, but the office or day-use building is 15 degrees southeast. That's because we wanted the building to be warm before the people came into it. So adapting, learning how nature works together with the students, growing together with the school, I would say. And before we built the school, we planted trees, as you can see here. They are the windbreaks that break the strong winds from the west, again, to moderate the severe cold. Apart from using the sun, we wanted to break the wind. So 1 year ahead, we started planting trees at every 50 or 100 meters. That's because wind picks up speed again. So all these were designed and then started building only with mud or soil, just dug up from the place. The buildings are bermed into the south-facing slope of the desert sand, sandy soil, and what you dig out becomes the walls and the building finally. So there is nothing that's added, nothing that's subtracted. There is no rubble or what you call waste in the process. And we designed it to be a blend of tradition and science. Tradition because we have a tradition of earth buildings, mud buildings, so we didn't want to give those up just because we are becoming modern. Earth, by any standards, I think is the best material to build, just that nobody gains from selling earth in bags. You don't see jingles on televisions and radio. There's no company that can gain from selling earth because everybody has it right under their feet. So not many know about it. And using not just earth under our feet, but the sun over our head, again, free for all. Nobody gains from selling it, so it doesn't get promoted that much. But if you bring the sun and the earth together with your human resource, you can do a lot. And anybody in this world can have a happy, sustainable habitat if you have two hands and the sun and the soil below. Now, a little bit about the school itself. The school was meant for those who failed the system, as I said at the beginning. So this is a very strange school where the criteria of admission is not your grades and positions, but that you have failed in the system, while those who have passed may be on waiting list. Those who have higher marks may have harder time getting here. So the students are in the driving seat. This school is a democratic school that is run by the students themselves. There's very little adult intervention, and they form a bi-monthly government. It's run like a little country. It has its own little government elected by the students for 2 months, and it has its own parliament. It has its own media like Campus Times newspaper and campus radio. And it has even its own time zone. The campus time is 1 hour ahead of the Indian Standard Time, and there's a reason for that, apart from making them feel there and understand how countries work. The reason is that this is the easiest way to put teenagers to sleep early and make them get up with the sunrise. Since you're watches ahead, you go a little advanced. And this is my best solar device at the campus. There are many you will see, but the best is where there is no device. Just because you go to bed soon after it's dark and you get up to use solar lighting. The best solar lighting is not from PV and battery banks and lead or lithium ion. It's what happens at 5:30 in the morning outside your window. So that's the best solar lighting one should use, we should use. And if the whole world, sleeps soon after dark and gets up early, definitely to use the light, the solar lighting, I think many nuclear power plants and diesel thermal plants could be closed. It's just because we go against nature and then try to find solutions and brag about solar PV, solar this and that. That's not the best. You use it, but don't misuse it. And that's a little change in lifestyle that you have to bring. So yeah, at this campus, the students take charge of everything. They get portfolios assigned every 2 months, and they make their goals, set their goals, execute, and present in the parliament. So life skills are not learned from books, but by living at this campus. So some students take care of the cows, and they use their maths to make graphs and charts of the production of milk and presenting it to people. Others take care of solar cookers and learn about energy and how much they're saving if they had done it the brown way, how much money, how much CO2 they would have emitted. Others grow vegetables in greenhouses, even in midwinter, and take care of the solar power plant, the inside of the solar electric plant that the students set up. All things are set up, designed by the students, together with us, yes, but students are a big part of it. They learn more complex concepts like germ theory by applying it in life, say for food preservation. So when it is apricot season in Ladakh, we have a big festival. The school goes and makes apricot jam in a village, and then thereby they learn their science, and then they package the bottles of jam, label them, advertise in the market, go sell in the market. Half of them, the products, they keep for consumption through the winter. The other half they sell in the market in Leh, and they learn their economics that way, the commerce part. And with the money they raise, they go on a tour to, say, Himachal Pradesh or Kashmir and learn geography along the road as they come down from Trans-Himalayas to Himalayan foothills and so on. Coming back, they report about the experience in campus times and campus radio. So that's how they learn through application in life, as real life is, rather than just preparing for an examination and then coming out clueless from the schools. Innovations not just in education, but generally is a part of the campus, and they revolve mostly around earth, sun, ice, and fire, as we say. So earth, as you saw, the whole campus is built with nothing but earth, mud. As you can see here, they're making rammed earth. The campus is being built with rammed earth, which is a very ancient, perhaps the most ancient earth technique in the world. And we took our inspiration from such buildings that dot our hillscape. This building in Saspol has been standing there for roughly 800 years, and half of that would be in this state where it was vandalized and exposed to elements, but it's still standing with all the water, rain, sun, and concrete, we say, has a life of 60 to 100 years. So earth is not at all an inferior material, just that nobody seems to gain from it. And then sun, making earth meet the sun to keep buildings warm in Ladakh. As you see here, the south facade is glazed, or plastic greenhouses, double-story plastic greenhouses. Now, plastic, sometimes people ask, why do you use plastic? I say, using plastic is very good. Misusing plastic is bad. Yeah? So if you can avoid so much fossil fuel heating with just a piece of plastic, that's different from making bags that are thrown away. So for those who cannot afford glass, this is a very good model. You can use ultraviolet stabilized plastic to trap the heat of the sun, and how it works you'll see here. the greenhouse becomes the heat engine of the building. It has dark walls on the south facade, and students have, as I said, they have responsibilities, and one of them would have the responsibility of operating the building. So they open the windows in the morning and close them in the evening. Normally, if you are familiar with passive energy, passive buildings, they have you have trom walls with little vents which nobody closes or opens. But windows are more intuitive. So we use not vents but windows, things that are part of our life. So the windows are open in the morning. So in the greenhouse, hot air becomes light, rises, pushes into the building, loses its heat to all the thick, heavy mud walls, thereby mud walls gaining the temperature and the air becoming cool and heavier and going through the stairwell back into the greenhouse, rises up again, and the cycle continues all day. It works for us. You can feel a micro wind breeze if you stand at the window. So that's how the heat is trapped into these big fat walls, and in the evening one student closes the windows and the heat is trapped into these walls. When the outside temperature goes down degree by degree, the mud walls start releasing the heat to the room and keep them at 14-15 degrees till early morning when the sun starts again and the cycle continues. So temperatures in the evening stay around 16. And they don't change much. This is, I'm talking about winter temperatures, December, January, plus 16 degrees. Over the whole winter, if there's a cloudy spell of 2 weeks or so, it can be plus 10. And you would find it funny that I feel cold every time I come to Delhi in winters, because it's not 16. So, what we believe is 16 or 14 is not the ideal temperature. My global standards, you would want 22 degrees, but that's how you're destroying the world also by wanting to be in a t-shirt in, winter Canada. This is a good meeting place where, you make the ambience rise from 0 degrees in a traditional house to 14, 16, and you lower down your desire and needs to 14 or 16, where your comfort and sustaining the earth can meet is a middle path. It's not, this extravagance of 22 degrees in minus 30 winters in the Western world. So in this building, in January, Ladakh, normally you say nothing grows in winter, but flowers bloom in January. We have running water 12 months, although the Indian Army says no plumbing can work in Ladakh, but no, it works. Solar energy is also used for cooking. Most of our cooking, except for standby, is by solar energy. Electricity, of course, only for when you really need. The rest of the time, we use the real sun outside, rather than putting it through all these polluting panels and batteries and so on. But for the times we want, we use photovoltaics. It's been since 1996, this whole campus, along with its photovoltaics and things. Water heating is all solar, but it's students-made water heaters that are very, very simple and cost like a fraction, like 500 rupees for 100 liters or something. They learn that way and get hot water. We are growing our vegetables in greenhouses when it is snowing outside, pumping our water, and now going slowly for the transport, which was the last to be solarized. Everything else has been solar. Even the cow sheds are solar heated. It's a mud vault with no wood used at all. As you can see, this is the inside picture. So it's a mud vault, nothing, no wood, only mud with its, you have to recognize that mud doesn't have tensile strength, but it has compressive strength, and you can use it for such vaults. And therefore, we used it. And to the north of this cow shed here is the barn, where you store your hay, the food for the cows in autumn for the whole winter, and that becomes also the insulation for the cow shed. North is the cold side, south is the sunny side. So their food becomes their insulation, and over the winter it comes out of this hole, and by spring the food is gone, the need for insulation is gone. And on the south is you can see this dark collector of heat that keeps the cow shed warm. And we are experimenting with this biogas plant that is a very different kind from what you do here. It's a bladder, a long tube, which is adapted for these conditions to do solar heated biogas production. This is still an experiment. So even the cows, because they are warm, they give, I think, 5 times more milk, I think, than other cows, which are, shivering and using all their food to keep their body warm. Ice, coming to ice can be a lot of fun. So we innovated new ice rink making system whereby any flat surface could be made into an ice rink. Normally it was restricted to ponds and reservoirs where people could play. So we made one next to our own school and trained girls who were never getting this opportunity. Ice skating and ice hockey is very popular in Ladakh in winter, but it was restricted to men only until recently, 10 years ago. So now at this school we promote women's ice hockey, and this as I speak, this spring is the first time that India will send an national women's ice hockey team to Taiwan, and 11 of the national team are students from this school. Ice can also be a savior. So here's how to use ice to adapt to climate change. As you know, glaciers are melting away very fast, so our farmers face problems, especially in spring, because the glaciers don't melt that early, the real glaciers. They melt only in July, and spring is when they really need water. So that's why it's a very simple technique, as you saw in the film also. All you do, I like engineering without moving parts. So like you saw, the heating device has nothing, just 2 windows open and there's a machine, there's an engine moving. Similarly, all you do is put a pipe upstream on this stream. You put a pipe upstream and bring it downstream, in this case 2 kilometers downstream, and the pressure due to gravity in the pipe makes a fountain gush at the other end, and going out of -20 out into the -20 air, it freezes very soon into the shape of a cone, which is very important because a cone has very little surface area for the volume of water that it can contain. Therefore, it doesn't melt in the sunshine. So you can sustain this ice into late spring. And last year, this ice stupa stayed, the last bit of ice melted only in July. So it provides melting water when we need, the farmers need, or in this case, we planted 5,000 trees that you saw in the film to be irrigated by this kind of technique. And that's the idea of making the university also. So at this school, what we find solutions, but our problem was how to give it to the people, because people were coming, how do you heat the buildings with sun? We want to make it. You can't tell them in an hour. So we thought of converting this problem into an opportunity. We started launching startups or entrepreneurs of our students. So they take these solutions and bring it to the people as entrepreneurs, thereby getting creative careers for themselves and satisfying a public need. So those who liked the fruit processing, jam making, one of them launched the Ladakh Fine Foods as a startup. Another woman who used to work with our travel company, we have a travel company also in the school for student exchanges. She started perhaps India's only all-women's travel company that caters to need of women's, provides women cooks, women porters, women guides, and she's a celebrated entrepreneur written about internationally. And similarly, another one started yak cheese making entrepreneurship. So to help the yak herders, get value for their money. So these students who come as failures in the system do not remain failure. They're actually very bright and things click and they do great. I mean, one boy from a very remote area came after he had failed 10th grade 5 times. And then something happened and he studied, quickly caught up, went to one of the best journalism institutes, and later his villagers made him represent in politics and became Ladakh's education minister for the Hill Council at 27. Yeah. Another who had failed 4 times, 10th grade, became a filmmaker. He didn't have good academic, writing and reading skills, but he had very good eyes, became a filmmaker, and today he's been winning awards in Canada, France, India, and 2 weeks ago his film got released on Arte, the European version of National Geographic, I suppose. You can see it about it on internet and things. So they do all kinds of things. We hope to launch another to share our experience in growing vegetables in very low-cost tunnels where you don't have to water because it's drip irrigated, into an entrepreneurship again. And what might interest you all here at GRIHA, another group of students started sharing our experience in solar mud buildings through an entrepreneurship called Third Pole Enterprises, and they build what we have been doing, except that it is contemporary taste to cater to the city people. So they build, what do you call, cutting edge rammed earth with pneumatic rammers and so on, rammed earth walls that when you open the formwork, it's finished. You don't need any rendering. It's just the surface you want. So this building was built by them. I'm very deeply involved in helping them. This building won the jury's distinction in the first ever Earth Buildings Award constituted in France internationally. And the campus is now in the finalists list. So this building has high insulation. First, it's contemporary rammed earth as used in ancient technology, but this uses like the same techniques now modernized as is used in California, Australia, and so on. On top of that, we adapt by putting insulation in the walls as we ram it. So all the insulation is put in the walls, all the plumbing, electric, everything, and the walls come out, everything all done. And insulation can be modern materials like EPS, XPS, or Kashmir fiber reject from the Pashmina industry in Leh. So we take the hair reject that comes from the industry, which has some 10-15% inefficiency, therefore it loses its Pashmina, the real warm wool, in the hair, and their loss is our gain. So we put it in the ceilings as insulation. So these are super insulated buildings, and this winter we monitored and they have not gone below plus 16 and have stayed normally 19 degrees, plus 19 degrees all winter. So this is the interiors of that building. All walls are just as it comes out of the formwork, no rendering, nothing. And the wood was, this is for a client. They are a startup company. So the wood came from the client's own estate where his mother had planted. So it's a very green building made of earth with wood that came from the site itself. And floors are also earth. I'll not go into detail, you must be hungry. Roof is also earth in different layers of different types of earth. We use, wherever needed, 5 to 6% cement to stabilize the earth. When you say earth, where needed, again, cement. Use it, but don't misuse it. So we use it where we have to make it waterproof or stabilize it against moisture and strengthen it a little bit. And then we believe in sharing our experience. So we've been doing these international courses in July, August, where people come from many Indian cities and many parts of the world to learn passive solar and earth architecture. They come from UAE to Germany to Australia. And the students, together with all of them, learn fun ways of doing things. Yesterday I mentioned straw clay as a new material. This developed playing at this campus. This is not new, but we revived it. You can see here how they are making this straw clay thing from mixing very clayey slip with sawdust and wood shavings and straw. because we don't have enough straw. And then in this one, they just, missiles of straw clay, and the school is built on a formwork. You remove the, not a school here, it's a chicken coop. You remove the formwork and the roof stays. Now that has been evolved or further fine-tuned to make buildings of straw clay that I mentioned for very cold regions, very light, very strong fiber reinforced material, clay reinforced with straw, which I said so much is burnt in India. Punjab and Haryana and some states burn 90 million tons of this straw every year. So we are trying to take that and mix it with our clay. You can do in this region even better because it comes from the plains, but we are definitely going to import it. It makes economic and ecological sense. We are saving it from burning, being burnt. And these mud blocks, we made a prototype, which again stayed at plus 16 to plus 20 degrees all this winter. Now our idea is to make these straw clay buildings, the prototype which you see, as a prefabricated. So to set up a plant where the whole wall components would be made horizontally, cast and dried, and can be moved and fixed very fast at the site. This is for the city that I talked about, the university, and for the Indian Army, who are very interested in quickly set up shelters for their soldiers. And I did a very small calculation. The cost of the army barrack that we designed, something like this, was recovered from just 3 years of their kerosene fuel budget. 3 years, and the whole building is covered in that. So this is the university and a city that grows around it, where it will be all solar heated, solar powered, built only of mud, no chemicals, and irrigated by ice stupa, artificial glaciers and artificial lakes on this desert that you saw in Ladakh. And we are working on it. It's in the planning stage. This is like upscaling of this school experiment, the alternative school to university level, a university of a different kind where students learn through experience again, so that 70% of their time is spent in the field, in the real world, and 30-20% can be supplemented with theoretical lectures and so on. I won't go into detail, but this is what we are planning, and this planning is being done through these courses. When we do courses for trainings, we work together for a real project rather than an imaginary project. So it's like designing again a university with the students, growing organically, and you are welcome to participate. If you come from any institutes of architecture, we could collaborate and design and see this city come up in the next decade or so. We hope to do a crowdfunding campaign to build this city, the seeds of it, and some of you who might be experts can contribute your skills as a crowdfunding contribution. We may not be able to pay big money because we really make do with very small budgets, but if you are interested in collaborating as an institute or as experts to see a city in Ladakh which will be warm in winters, 20 degrees or so, using nothing but sun and building with nothing but earth, and very well planned use of all the right things for a new city, you're welcome to associate with us. And these are the trees that we are growing with the ice stupa glaciers. These will be used for the timber. So we are growing the timber now for the city that we hope will come. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.